We're in Fritz Roy Crossing. Last night it was kind of late, and we came through the recently developed road across the river that flooded this whole place starting in December after the cyclone. And this is where we parked, across from the bathroom, and this is where they came in at night. And this morning we tried to take a picture, and this gentleman walks up and says, "I see the signs, can I help you take a picture?" And this just freaked me out when he said something like this. It's the law of attractions. Now this gentleman came and very kindly offered to take a picture of the two of us, and then said something that really blew me away. So what's your name?
John Polano.
John Polano. And you're from where?
Polano, from Broome.
From Broome, from Polano. Okay.
Born and bred in Broome.
And you are what they call First Nation here?
Yeah, First Nation. I'm a traditional owner
Of the land, right?
Broome, yeah.
Exactly. And what is your family called? What's your tribe called? Or is that
Well,
that
the Yarrow.
Yarrow?
That's Broome. And up the peninsula, Dampier Peninsula, that's Bard.
Bard.
Bard country, and I'm both.
You're both, okay, from your mother and father.
Mother and father.
Nice. And what brought you here tonight?
Oh, we got a funeral to
Oh, I'm so
attend
sorry.
today.
I'm sorry you had to come for that.
No, that's all right. It's my wife's nephew.
Oh, young man.
Yeah, young man. He got lost and died in the river here.
He died in the river. Oh, that's
after
sad.
the floods.
Well, there's always sadness and sorrow, and then there's always the revival of life. And tell me your story about that revival.
Well, my revival, I started dialysis in 2.5 years ago, 3 years now, and on and off the kidney transplant list. So I got family up in Gove, Way, and I was heading over there, and they took me off the list, but I didn't make it, so I had to come back and get back on the list, and then I caught COVID.
Oh,
So they had to take me off again.
so you're a COVID survivor too?
I'm a COVID survivor as well. So I got off COVID. I'm still doing dialysis in Broome. And one morning, it was an unfortunate morning. It was Monday morning. One of my young fellas, my son's best friend, took his own life.
Your son's best friend took his own life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
And I used to coach him in footy in Perth. And about 9 o'clock that morning, so I start dialysis at 6 in the morning. 9 o'clock that morning, the kidney coordinator walked in and he said, "I've got good news for you." He said, "You got a kidney." So,
There's two things to see in this. Like there's sad news for someone and good news. Yeah.
Good news. And I was in mixed emotions at the time. "You want it?" He said. I said, "I certainly do want it. I just lost someone yesterday, so I want to keep myself going." So off we went to Perth, me and my wife. After Perth, that's 12 o'clock that day. So we had no time to fool around in Broome. We had to pack and get on the plane. Got to Perth about 7 o'clock that night. Straight into Charles Gardner. Next morning, up out of bed at 8 o'clock and getting prepped for my operation. And then at 5 to 12, they took me into the operating theatre.
When was your surgery?
5 to 12 that next day.
Now, how long has it been?
Since June, 21st of June last year.
Last year, so you're
Yeah,
freshly minted.
I'm still fresh minted, yeah.
Well, that's great. And you happen to know the donor as well, right?
No, I don't know the donor, and that's my next step, is to write a letter to the donor, or donor's family, or whoever, and say how much I appreciate it. If the donor is passed away, he's not fully passed away.
So the kid that committed suicide has nothing to do. He did nothing. That's just coincidental.
Yeah,
that happened.
Just coincidental. Yeah.
Okay.
But that the donor, if he's passed away or she's passed away, it hasn't, because it's still living in me. Part of it is still living in me.
Yeah, that's the whole thing we believe in our culture.
And I'm keeping it alive.
Right. So
along
she
with
or
myself.
he is alive.
That's right.
In you, in
Yeah.
another form, right?
That's exactly right.
Now, tell me about your community. Are they open to being organ donors, or is there something that comes in the way?
Well, the problem is with indigenous people,
Mhm.
the risk of losing a kidney or donating because of our, I suppose, heritage and stuff like that coming. If we were still living in our traditional way,
Mhm.
maybe it would have been okay. But because we've taken on
You've taken on a new lifestyle.
new
Yeah.
lifestyle with all this different foods and drinks and stuff that they give us
Uh huh.
that we consume, that's the cause of my diabetes, because I got caught up in all that stuff.
No, so you've very blessedly, blessed that you received from somebody.
Oh yeah.
But in your community, are there also people willing to say yes to someone else when they pass away?
Well, I'm sure there would be.
Or is there something coming in the way from saying no? Or
Yeah.
is there something traditional that in your learnings and teachings that
Yeah.
prevent that from happening?
Well, there is a lot of that prevention of people, indigenous people, donating to indigenous people
Mhm.
because of it's a bit like Malay Yumo, same thing. You can't donate to us, or we can't donate to you, unless they find some solutions to correct the kidney because of rejection.
Okay, no, what I mean is amongst your own communities, for example, your indigenous people giving, even amongst in your own family,
Yeah.
they could have given
Well,
you
they,
something.
the doctors advised me not to. My eldest son was ready to give me his.
And why was that?
Well, because of, I don't know, past histories and stuff like that, and we don't.
There's no match.
There's no match, or there's a match, but it's very risky in having a match
Mhm.
because of, I suppose, the genes that we have. It's quite easily. If he gave me a kidney,
Mhm.
I might work for for a year or so,
Uh-huh.
and then could crash, because that's the risk that they take. So they advise that we shouldn't be sharing kidneys
Amongst yourselves.
amongst ourselves.
But to give to another community, that's okay.
Well, even to other community members. If it's an indigenous to an indigenous, no.
Okay.
They need to do more research into that.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
No
You
worries.
came in for some other reason, and it turned out to be you, the story
Yeah.
hero. Yeah.
No worries, thank you. Yeah, no, I was just reading all the signs on your car, I said, I gotta get to those two in the morning and say hello and say that I'm a receiver.
Thank you.
No worries.
We don't plan this. We don't write things like this. You cannot write a script that turns out this way. This is all up there. It is our spirits, it is our elders, and it is God that creates this law of attraction. That this gentleman was right here next to us. When we were the only ones here when we showed up, there was nobody else here. And then in the morning, it was him.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing your story.
not a problem. I'm happy to do so.
This is what you call Fritz Roy Crossing. It's a very significant crossing in the Great Northern Highway. There's one road that connects Western Australia with Northern Territories, one major road, and that goes across the river called Fritz Roy, which is quite subject to flooding a lot. Every time there's a heavy rainfall, then there is a flash flood, and it takes out a lot of, surroundings. In December of last year came a Category 5 cyclone, and it wiped this whole place out. They're just reeling from it. 2 days ago, there was a road that was built across the Fritz Roy River. While the bridge was taken out completely, that's still being fixed. A lot of the construction workers live here in tents. So when you cross the bridge, you enter this called the Fritz Roy River Lodge. It's a large 300-acre property with lots of camping, cabins, a bar, a nice restaurant, and all of that. So we'll take you to that road that was just built temporarily to get people across the river, which was opened 2 days ago. I was most worried about this. I was warned about that, saying, oh, you're going up that way, make sure that road is open, and blah, 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 blah. And it was a commitment that I had to make. Either I took this road or took the road south to get to Darwin. Well, that paid off. The universe aligned, and 2 days ago, that road was open. Now, all this construction here is one of the process of bringing this place back to life. Fritz Roy Crossing. And that was our camp last night.